Hey, good afternoon or good evening, everyone. This is Mike, AI5QK. Just wanted to make a quick video on the updates with the QK4 software. So first of all, thanks to everybody that has emailed me with bugs and UI improvements and fixes and changes. So appreciate that. So I'm trying to stick to a one release per day. So I just released the beta 3, made some changes in there, some stuff behind the scenes and some stuff that you'll be able to notice relatively quickly. So in that process, I also linked over the release notes, which I'm going to start publishing with every release to make it easy for everyone to see what's changed. So in my process, this first set of release notes sort of screwed up. So when you click on it, it's going to take you to the release notes, and that's another reason I wanted to make this video. So when I when I set up my automation and my scripts to pull the release notes over from all the previous builds, it actually did all the release notes since inception, right? So since my alpha. So these aren't all of the things that just got added into this release. So it's a little mixed up. So yeah, just kind of bear with me while I work out some of my automation scripts. But everything that you see here is in fact added. It just wasn't added in beta 3. But things that were added in beta 3 that are noticeable, I closed out some bugs. I added some jitter and some buffering, some jitter, or a solution to some jitter and latency issues. A very, very, very small buffer. For those that care, technically what I was doing was bringing over the audio from the K4 server. I was decoding it, and then I was sending it straight to the audio sync, which, I didn't notice it here on my home network because I have everything, linked up with gig and 10 gig. So I never really noticed anything. But I had a couple of reports come in from people that were operating remote with really high latency, upwards in the 200 millisecond, 250 millisecond range. And they were experiencing some of those artifacts where you hear that crackling and popping. Since audio is running over TCP, that is one of the artifacts that will introduce itself once you start to exceed certain jitter and latency limitations, or thresholds, I should say. So I added a very, very small buffer. I'm hoping that no one even notices it's there. And it should smooth things out for people that are operating remote on, I should say, just slower lines or unreliable lines. I did test it out over cellular, but conveniently my cellular is 5G LTE, or 5G. So then I switched it over to LTE to see if that would make a difference, and it bumped up my latency a little bit. And it was about I got it up to about 89 milliseconds, and I didn't hear any artifacts at all. So that's implemented. The other items that you'll notice are the stereo output to honor the modes, and I'll show you those really quickly. So if we go into the K4, let's see, where is it? We'll go into QK4. So this should be the latest version. All right, so we'll go ahead and connect to my K4. We'll bring down this volume a little bit. All right, so what I've done is over here under the balance section. So now when you click this, it brings up this menu, sub AF equals norm. And then when you click it, it goes sub AF equals bal. So when your sub receiver is off, it's now going to behave like the actual K4 would. So if we move this sub receiver, right, you'll notice the values changing in the main and the sub. So that's shifting from left to right. So left ear to right ear. So I had a request to make sure that was operational. You can also use your mouse wheel. So let's go ahead and turn that back, turn that off. And then the other fix was, you can probably hear there's nothing, silence. Since sub receiver is off, I have muted the sub just like the K4 would. So, and if you turn sub receiver on, well, it's probably a bad test. But turn sub receiver on, there it is. So sub receiver, main receiver. Turn sub receiver off and it should mute. Yep. Okay. So that changed. The balance changed. I added a feature where on slow lines, slow links, sometimes depending on when the latency occurred, some of the variables that you see here, the data points, right, like the power, the mic, the compression, would not get retrieved properly. So there's a certain window during the connection process where a dump of all of this data happens, and then I collect the data and then I populate all of the fields. If I missed that window due to latency or something like that, I didn't have any corrections or mechanisms built in to sort of get that data. So one of the artifacts was you would see maybe like the VFOB side, the frequency would be all zeros, right? So made that change as well to fix that issue. Buffers. Secondary monitor. So I can't show you here, but if you wanted to move this window to another screen, one of the bugs was that my pop-up menus would open on the main screen. So that was a simple fix. It was in Qt. I just had to go in and say, essentially say that, for pop-up menus, don't be fixed to the main screen, right? You can go to any screen. So, that's just, I'm very, very, very greatly simplifying this, but that's essentially what I did. So it was a quick find and replace with those values. And then I think that's pretty much it. There was another bug that came in with the mic and compression, where if someone connected and the radio was in maybe CW mode, and when they connected, it would populate incorrectly and it would show mic and compression, or vice versa. So that was actually related to the other bug where I mentioned if you connect in over a slow link, and sometimes your data would populate with zeros. So I was able to go in there and find out where that was taking place and make that modification. So I think we have that ironed out. And then during all of this, I found some other bugs and then filed some new ones. But they should be relatively minor. They're related to the filtering and the calculations for when you're in bandwidth and shift mode or high cut and low cut mode. The other bugs they're more like UI enhancements. But when you are in, let's do this real quick. When you're in CW mode, let me show you first in sideband. But as you can see, you have your bandwidth and your ESSB settings, right, for the last two for TX. Well, when you shift and change to CW mode, what should happen, and I knew this, I just didn't build the menus for it, these two buttons should change to, I believe it's paddle weight, and then iambic A and B, and then paddle reverse. So I have a enhancement request to go ahead and create the two new menus, so that way when you're in CW mode, these will be updated automatically. There is another enhancement that I haven't filed yet, but essentially it's in text decode mode. So when you're in text decode mode, what people wanted to see was their sent text or their sent characters decoded. So I'll have to look into that and figure out how I'm going to do that. but that's another thing that I need to file a bug for or an enhancement for. So for now, please just test the audio. I think that's kind of the biggest thing is I want to make sure that the audio is functional and that if there are artifacts happening, and you have the ability to capture what those artifacts sound like, please let me know, and maybe capture that, and then I can figure out how I'd get that file from you guys later. But right now, I really don't. I'm not hearing any sort of strange artifacts or anything like that on the audio side. There was another request or a bug saying that there was no way to add a secondary server. Well, there is. It's just not very intuitive. So essentially, what should happen is when you click the new button, it should blank out this entire side to add a new server. But what it does is it takes you to the edit for the existing server. So what you'll need to do if you want to add multiple servers at the moment is just double click new. So if you're here, right, and you have this server selected, just double click new, click, and then that'll bring up the server entry. Once you're done, hit save, and then you can back out. So hope that answers some questions that some people had. Let's see. Yep. 040 beta 3. Yeah, so thanks for all the testing and reports, guys. Keep them coming. And I'm going to go ahead and keep plugging away at this. Again, trying to stick to one release per day across the 3 builds. Yeah, if there's any questions, don't hesitate to drop me an email. Thanks, everybody. Mike, AI5QK.